Greetings everyone, and back with another theory video. In this video I will theorize on what's to come on the upcoming chapter, as we just got Awaken PV teaser. Let's first begin with information we received in the first teased. Seems like right after the events of PV's corruption, Shadow Milk began to thread rumors like how he did when he turned corrupted, and has spreading rumors all across Earthbread to create chaos. As for the upcoming cookie that will become in the next chapter, he could be the one spreading the rumors. He does have vampire wings like Candy Apple, so he could be working with Shadow Milk. Or he has an ulterior motive, as most of the times the cookies that appear in the second chapter will usually assist the respective ancient of the chapter. Or he could still be just evil but gave PV the enlightenment by explaining his personal perspective of deceit. Next, PV Soul Jam. We aren't sure where his Soul Jam is right now, with him or it's with Shadow Milk. But with the way it showed PV Soul Jam turning something just like Shadow Milk's could mean that PV has really turned into deceit and still possesses the Soul Jam. Just like how Mystic Flower slowly broke Dark Cacao, that his Soul Jam turned just like Mystic Flower's. We could be seeing something similar. Now this scene is really interesting. Shadow Milk stopped smiling and started having eyes like PV. I don't fully believe that it's just him mocking PV, but rather PV just reminds of how he himself turned corrupted. He really wants to destroy PV already out of happiness and anger. He asks PV, "Don't you regret it?" Like as if he's been through this himself. As I said in my previous theories, that Shadow Milk turned corrupted after witnessing the truth and fate of cookies, so he felt as if his entire life was a lie, so he resorted to dark moon magic to remove his suffering in exchange of something from himself. SM could just be projecting his suffering to PV. Since the our PV is in the deepest abyss in truthless recluse mind, he could be possibly finding his way out, and the real light of truth will assist him out and gives him the knowledge to awaken. So then pure vanilla fuses with truthless recluse, his deceit and dark side, to create balance and harmony with himself. Then when PV awakens, he understands why Shadow Milk became like this, as he basically went through it himself. And he will try open the lock within Shadow Milk's mind to try to save him or enlightening him. As when PV succeeds, Shadow Milk will break mentally as if he's going through the pain again. If I could win, you will too, could be PV telling Shadow Milk to accept the truth and ascend like him. It's either Shadow Milk rejects it or accepts it and be purified, but this will be discussed later as the video progresses. As for the Awakening animation video, there's some details that could mean some things for Awaken PV. This scene could be representing him accepting his past, present and his true self, as the real light of truth guides him to the itself. He is now properly in one with the light of truth. While PV is transforming, he dancing along with white magic and dark moon magic. It could be him being in harmony with truth and deceit, making him accept both. With the real light of truth with PV now, he really is now a real hero of truth, along with retaining some knowledge like ideology. Unlike the previous two ancients, that Awaken PV is more towards to a peaceful and a friendly approach as he prepares to battle Shadow Milk. This may not only be the battle of magic, but the battle of mind as well. PV's cloak has the dark moon realm within him, but it seems more bright and calmer. Could PV have purified the realm or created his own? PV Awaken name is Compassionate Pure Vanilla. Compassionate means almost a bit like sympathetic and also understanding one's pain. So we might just get some Shadow Milk backstory either as the story progresses or when PV awakens. PV is willing to help Shadow Milk after all he just went through. Also, Shadow Milk might receive some sort of PTSD, as Pure Vanilla is becoming slightly the person he was once before. Although pre-corrupted Shadow Milk being teased several times but has not been shown in the recent two-story teaser, he could play an important role in PV's awakening. He does not need to be actually present in the story, but instead the light of truth will guide PV in deepest abyss, and it will use pre-corrupted SM as the avatar. Since PV has never spoken to the real light of truth but Shadow Milk this entire time, the light of truth didn't really connect to PV properly and instead uses its former owner's voice. As you can see in this cutscene, this light of truth was a fake, as it was Shadow Milk. But then when we see the Awakening animation, we see that is the real light of truth. So PV never really claimed the Soul Jam properly, and with his new enlightenment, he obtained the Soul Jam for real this time and awakened at the same time Skull. His Soul Jam is more brighter than it once was, unlike the previous Awakened 2 who got their Soul Jam bigger. Or is it both? As of right now we aren't sure what version of Shadow Milk will come out as a costume, since I always mention pre-corrupted. How about a purified version? Maybe Pure Vanilla was able to purify Shadow Milk, but what I fear is how will they develop this to make it feel as redeemable. If there's a redemption arc for Shadow Milk, it could be most likely in a special episode that's story locked, as that will be the right approach to give us time to digest. Also, why I slightly believe Shadow Milk will get a redemption arc is because the design looks a bit similar to the current Shadow Milk. The soul gem isn't in his staff like the pre-corrupted one, but rather on his chest, just like the current Shadow Milk. Shadow Milk might go insanely haywire in this episode BC of PV Awakening, and he might transform into some sort of Dark Moon magic beast, as we already have 3 Shadow Milk bosses in Chapter 1 and 2 Beast. And Pure Vanilla, with his new power and enhanced knowledge, he should have a very powerful white magic spell to beat Shadow Milk, and maybe even purify the entire Dark Moon realm with the powers of white magic. I believe the devs are saying that the heroes do not require a beast sealing spell, but rather a purification spell. But of course, purify does not necessarily purify 100% of their ideology, but they can have a chance to be pulled back to the right path. Although they are not really redeemable worthy, let's make a small theory, since theories does not have to be always accurate. For Shadow Milk, he needs to accept what the truth really is and must strengthen himself to have the world to help Cookie kind. Mystic Flower and Burning Spice Cookie needs to take their duties to a smaller scale, as they are really hard workers to help Cookie kind. If they are able to do that, they might have a chance. But unfortunately I don't think they will be purified anytime soon, as they will be important to end and start a new saga. Next year should be the conclusion to the Beast saga, with Dark Enchantress release creating a new saga related to the Ultimate Cookie or the Second Dark Flower War. Anyways, I really hope that PV is able to mix Dark Moon magic with white magic. Although there's a cost to use Dark Moon magic, probably light magic could negate the side effect. But that's just me coping for Dark Moon magic to be used. Skull. That's all for this week's video. See you in the next one.